Beast. Welcome to the Beast Breakdown. It's your boy Beast, and today we got two crazy topics because Sonic fans are eating right now. And I brought back my boy Jayblast from the JayblastNetwork back with me for another Beast Breakdown. Jayblast, say what's up, bro.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Jay from the JayblastNetwork.
Bro, you been busy, fool. You dropped the Sonic Adventure retrospective.
Yeah, that's a forever to come out because it had to re-record the game because I messed up my footage, but we got it out.
Right now, we talking about the two big things that just happened. His first is, I think it was, what was the event? That was a PlayStation State of Play where we saw the Sonic Racing Crossworlds trailer.
Yeah, it was a PlayStation State of Play.
Yeah, the teaser, when I really saw the teaser, I was like, man, get this out of my face. I just want riders. And I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, it looks kind of fire. And of course, they showed the extreme gear, and that was litty. And then they announced the play test, the 3-day weekend play test. And I'm so sad because I did everything. I don't have a PS5, and I did everything in my power. I tried to get the code. I signed up for the codes. I had one for my cousin, I had one for my brother, just in case I can go over to one of their places to go play. But like the first few days of the code, it was only giving out Asia codes. And then you had to sign up again, or you just had to sign up within like the last 3 days in order to get the America code. So my code didn't work, so I wasn't able to play. But you got a chance to play Jayblast. And
yeah,
so
I ain't gonna lie, I had to hit the back cave on it and got like multiple accounts to try to get the code, and all my accounts got a code.
Wait, so how did you you hit the underground? You hit the Chow black market?
No. I just have like multiple emails for different things, and I just used those. I had to pull them out just to get the code.
Yeah.
All of them hit with the code, but it's unfortunate because I know the Switch 2 is coming out, and I prefer to get my Sonic games on the Switch 1 because I end up I like Sonic games on Nintendo systems, but they don't run the best now because the Switch is not the best running hardware. But my little sister, now she has a PS5, but she's getting the Sonic like she really. It's the first time when that Shadow Generation started. The first time I ever heard her say like, "Oh, this is cool," like about Sonic 4. So I was like, "All right, yeah, now we're talking." They finally doing it right. Because I finally got a Frontiers and the Shadow Generations game, so I like getting all that type of stuff on the Switch so I can like introduce her to it. Like I got the Marvel vs. Capcom collection and I started playing that with her too, so that's why I prefer to get it there. So when the Switch 2 comes out, I want to get it there, but since those are all registered on the PS5, if they end up doing something like a bonus character or a skin, it's probably going to only give me a PS5 code for all those accounts because I put PS5 because that's how you got the PS5 code.
Yeah, I don't think you have to worry because it's the reward is actually from the survey. The survey apparently gives you a sticker. It's like two different stickers that say like, oh, I played in the event, and the other one is some kind of other sticker. But I did the survey. I didn't see like the pictures of the sticker, so I don't know how they got that information, but I think that's the real thing that'll get you the reward. But who knows, they might have something with your account as well. But yeah, that's of course the dilemma because the Switch, that's the console, that's the game night thing. Of course, you want to have Crossworlds on there, but I also want to get Crossworlds on the Steam Deck because that's where all the mods are gonna be. But I obviously don't even know how it's gonna run on Steam Deck either. But I mean, we'll see. But since you got to play, how many? You said you played about 6 hours or so, and so I want to ask you, how do you feel about the game that you actually played it? What did you think about it before, and what did you think like actually playing it? And did it live up to expectations? And just what are your positives about it?
It's like before when they dropped that first teaser trailer, I was casually optimistic because not gonna lie, Team Sonic Racing felt like a huge step down in many ways compared to Transform. In terms of the amount of characters, the amount of content, the fact that they reused like over half the tracks in the game are reused, and one of them is missing like a function because they took out the transform function from the previous game, and they added the team racing mechanic, which is it's pretty fun, but like that doesn't really make up for the loss of team mechanics, right? I mean, not team, but transform mechanics. I'm sorry. And of course, you know, I like Riders, right? I think the first Riders game was amazing in terms of mechanics. In the second game, they kind of neutered a lot of stuff because it was on the Wii, and they and plus that was people complaining about the game being too hard to understand, despite there being a tutorial in the game for you to play. But I kind of get what people say. Like, they want to be like Mario Kart where anybody can play it. And Mario Kart right now even has it to where the game can play itself for you just so people can play the game at a party, right? So, like, I mean, if people don't like that, most people who play, they don't like that thing on anyway. Like, even if they don't play games like that.
Yeah, the antenna.
So, you know, they turn it off. So I don't know how useful that is, but I mean, I guess for small children or people who just want to play something, like, they can just play the game. But you know, I kind of want Riders back too. But I like Riders, I do. But I also really like Transform. Like, I think Transform and Riders are two of the best, like, mascot racing games of all time. Like, legit. Like, the mechanics of it, the roster, everything about it was amazing. It upset me that, you know, in reality, what happened? We got 2 games from both of those series, and then the third game ended up having issues. Right? In one case, it was terrible, but in another case, it was just like middling, in my opinion. So, you know, I was casually optimistic for the game, and then I saw that trailer, and I saw like the leak images that came out, because nothing can really stay hidden today. Someone's gonna, especially with something that big as that, someone's gonna leak it out in some way, form, or fashion. And I got kind of hyped because I saw Jet on the hoverboard. I saw Sonic.
Oh, I remember the picture.
Cars.
Yeah, I remember seeing the picture.
And then I saw a dinosaur
picture. Yeah,
and I was like, wait a minute, it looks familiar, right? And I'm like, it's a secret ring. I'm like, they actually put, and I got kind of hyped because they actually put a level from Secret Rings. And I know I kind of like get on them reusing levels, but this is the type of game where you actually want to reuse levels. And they finally are picking levels that we haven't seen in a long time. Like, they haven't been using. I'm just tired of seeing the same. I'm tired of Rooftop Run. I'm tired of Green Hill. I'm tired of Chemical Plant. I'm tired of Sky Sanctuary. Give us something new, damn it.
Exactly.
But, so this was, you know, that was really cool. And I thought I saw Samba Studios. My main concern initially was like, okay, I'm glad they got these characters back. I'm glad to see Jet back. But I was also hoping to see the Sega characters, because even the Riders games had Sega characters in it. Not that many, but each one had 3. And they had Knights. You know, Knights was the main one that would stay, because, you know, Knights and Sonic, that's like Izuka's baby, second baby besides Sonic. You know, Sonic is like, we kind of inherited Sonic, but I was hoping that Knights would be in the game. And luckily enough, they said, when the trailer dropped, they said, okay, well, we're going to put Sega characters in the game as well. And then we saw what the roster was going to be, because all that stuff came out. So we saw like all those Sonic characters in the game. We saw them in the footage and stuff. Then we saw the gameplay, how you could transform. And I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. It's like they're putting the best of both worlds into one game. And in all honesty, after playing it, I know we haven't had the extreme gear yet. I really do think this could be the best Sonic racing game like they have ever made, and honestly, it can be up there, because when I say like that, Riders and Transform are some of the best mascot racers. Like, in my opinion, I'm gonna keep it short and brief because I'm going on these other kart racers. But when Team Sonic Racing dropped, they remade Crash Team Racing, which was already really good for its time.
Yeah, that game went hard. Yeah, the OG went hard.
The OG went hard. The OG was better. The OG was better than Mario Kart, like way better. And gameplay and content, it was way better. And in my opinion, I say it's the same, except for the fact that they had the microtransactions in the new one and the way you had to unlock some of the stuff. That was the biggest flaw of that game. But in terms of the racing mechanics and the characters and the content, I think it improves on Mario Kart. I thought Diddy Kong Racing was better. Like, those are the goals. Mario Kart is good. Like, Mario Kart be really good, but it doesn't.
Yeah, what generation is that? Is that the 5th generation?
That was 64. Gaming? That was Mario Kart 64.
Yeah, Crash Team Racing, Diddy Kong Racing, they both were better than Mario Kart at that time.
Yeah.
Double Dash, that's to me when Mario Kart started getting real crazy. Like,
that's when it got Yeah, that's when it got high. That's when I'm like, oh, that's the go-to one. That Mario Kart Double Dash, Mario Kart DS, Mario Kart Wii together, like that was like the Trinity right there.
That's
like,
the three kings.
Yeah, three kings of Mario Kart, in my opinion. And they went hard with those games. I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to like downplay Mario Kart. I just think that Mario Kart has been surpassed, in my opinion. But you won't hear no one say that, because Mario Kart has a lot of legacy, and it has like the lasting appeal. So people were always gonna, if you go to a party, right? Like even when Crossworlds comes, it doesn't matter if Crossworlds is good, right?
Right. Fools not trying to. They're trying to play Mario Kart.
Exactly.
They trying to play MK.
Like, if people understand that, like, it doesn't matter how good some of this stuff is. They're gonna want to play the other games. So you might as well make it good for what it is than trying to make it beat Mario Kart. It's never gonna happen. I think Sega knows that. Everybody knows that. So I think that's the route they should go, and I think that's the route they're going to go, and they're doing it better, because when Crash Team Racing dropped right after Team Sonic Racing, like I felt like robbed Team Sonic Racing. I really did, and that was a remake. But yeah, like I'm excited. The gameplay was awesome. We can get into that too when you ask that question. But yeah, I'm excited. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, man. I was not interested in Sonic Racing at all, because like as soon as I saw the car, bro, and the car to me it was like the more generic looking, more basic looking, like sports car looking thing. I was like, man, you took all the sauce. Y'all had the sauciest two games, Riders and Zero Gravity. Mug has so much swagger, everything, and then you go backwards to me in just style. To me, I wanted nothing to do with the games. So I basically like ignored like everything from Sonic Racing. And I think about a year ago on PS Plus, if you have PS Plus, they gave you Team Sonic Racing for free. So that's my first Team Sonic Racing game. I remember I said, okay, let me try this mug out. I literally played it. I played one race. I turned that mess off, because I that's how much I was like, I'm not doing this mess. Then when they dropped the trailer, that's when I said, you know what, let me give this mug another chance. I'm like, let me get ready for Crossworlds. And that's where I look, start to see the vision with Team Sonic Racing. And I really do, like I said, I never played Transform or the OG, but the team mechanic is low-key fire. Like, you know, I play with my roommate and one of my friends who don't even like Mario Kart, but she will literally be trying to race. She likes the team because she likes to stay in the lane with me. And I realized, I was like, okay, I actually like the team, the racing. I hope it comes to Crossworlds as like a side thing, like a side mode.
There should be a mode.
Like, because it's very unique, and there's actually a lot you can do with it. But regardless, so I was one of the Riders fanboys who wasn't interested. And of course the trailer and every time they kept dropping the little footage, little short 10-second clips before the test weekend came out, it was just looking better and better and better. And of course I made my previous video I made about the trick system, and it's just something that, you know, like I said, even though that I think this game kind of has an upper edge just for the sole fact that it's crossplay and it's gonna be on everything, I just don't. When it came to like that speedy trick gadget, it had me a little concerned, just because I don't like, and surprisingly people weren't dogging on them or nothing. Like, I've only really heard positive people talking about stuff, but I've heard people kind of joking about it or just like commenting on it, and it's like, Mario Kart would never do that. Mario Kart, everything looks pretty and polished and everything. I said, I don't want none of that or any of those issues to be in the game. And so to me, the trick system, that was the only thing I had an issue with. And of course, not even just the visuals of it, but just, you know, the risk reward, the mastery, you know, the stuff that was in Riders, and even in Team Sonic Racing, you can fail tricks in Team Sonic Racing, and those tricks you have to like take consideration when you do it, consideration that I didn't see in the trailer and gameplay. So that's the only issue I had. But just watching this weekend, that the gameplay just looks so amazing, bro. I was like, even though it was literally like, was it like 4 main levels and then like 4 Crossworlds? I don't know how many.
Yeah, just like 6. I think like 6 main levels and then 5 Crossworlds.
And I think like mathematically there can be like 28 different combinations or like 30 different combinations of just those 6 stages together. And it's and I was just addicted. Like, even now I will go back and I will be walking to school, be trying to watch somebody play, just because like that mug was like crack, like watching that. Like the gameplay looks so good, looks so fun, looked so crazy, and I think it just really had me thinking. I think just because I watched it, I didn't get a chance to play. I was just really like trying to pay attention, and I think the thing about like Mario Kart, I'm trying to think of like the difference. I played so much Mario Kart, and I think I'm so used to being like, I mainly play with friends and family and play local. I play a little bit online, but I'm not used to being in like the pack. I'm not really used to being in the middle, like A place nothing. I'm used to being in first through third, and so basically being like racing by myself and dealing with like a stray shell or a stray red shell or a blue shell. That's the only items I'm used to dealing with. And so it's it feels almost a little crazy when I actually get to the pack in Mario Kart. It's like, whoa, it's like, oh, this is what we doing back here. But just knowing like the whole game is kind of like that, I see why it can feel so addicting, just because it's like you never know what's about to happen. So I'm very excited for the game, and the customization looked really cool. Looked a lot better than Transformed. I mean than Team Sonic Racing. I don't even know if you could customize your car in Transformed.
No, you couldn't.
But
you couldn't.
But yeah, and I'm just I think I just love how they're just listening to the fans. That's the thing I'm most excited for, just because the fact that they took the transform mechanics, the fact they're introducing riders mechanics, like just the fact that they're listening, and it looks like it's going to be successful. I think for the Sonic as a whole, that's just a good look for us. And I want their little gamble of listening to the fans. I want them to reap the rewards from it. And I think that they will. So yeah, so that mess is just that was just an amazing weekend. I'm jealous of you bastards that got to play.
But so there's gonna be more beta tests too.
Yeah, so I'm about to get this mess figured out. Y'all better watch out, because one of y'all PS5s and mugs might be gone. Or who knows, maybe the next one is gonna be the Xbox. No, yours gonna be gone.
They ain't gonna be on Xbox. They gonna make the multi-plat. Nah.
Yeah, because that's what I think that's only fair. It'd be the Xbox next. That's gonna be the Xbox test, and then maybe they'll do a PC test.
Sony paid for that because they can't get their mascot platforms together. But that's another topic for another video.
That's an interesting thought.
Well, they can't. Well, they can get them together, but they can't seem to put them out when they need to put them out.
Yeah, so I wonder if they're gonna pay money to get Astrobot to be a racer.
Probably
they're gonna get Astrobot in that mug.
Because remember Transform had like Wreck-It Ralph and Danica Patrick.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it had a bunch of PC games like Team Fortress 2 characters and.
Okay, I didn't know that. Now I knew Wreck-It Ralph was in the mug. I didn't know we had TF2 characters.
Yeah. Heavy was in the game. I think if you transform into different, the vehicle would transform, and then it would change the character with the Team Fortress 2 vehicle. So it'd be like a different character. I think it was Spy, Heavy, and that was somebody else.
Man, and I do want there to be a good amount of third-party characters, but the thing is, I really want them to focus more on like the Sonic characters. Like I know the season pass, we're getting a season pass, and it says it's gonna have all the Prime characters, and I'm like, bro,
that's just the pre-order.
The pre-order.
So I think those are skins.
Yeah, I hope they're skins, because there's so many like IDW characters, and there's still like people like SBO, and which I'm pretty sure like the Chaotix will be in the game.
They're already in.
But I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I know like Egg Pawn and stuff. I know Egg Pawn. I think somebody said Charmy's in, but I assume
all that in the other when you asked that other question.
Okay, so I'll go to the next question. So you actually played. Wait, I know we kind of more talked about like the positive. Like, what are some of the negatives? What are some of the things you want changed or you think need to be fixed? And I know a big thing people talked about is the items, the chaos.
So I actually like the chaos. They do need to fix. I didn't just need to fix like what the item does, because there are some items in this game that will just outright turn you around, and that like because of the way the game works. So it feels like in Crash Team Racing, right? If somebody is really good, like to get to that level of Mario Kart, you gotta be really, really, really good at the game. But in Crash Team Racing, if you were like really good at the game, like just you played like the time trials and stuff, the basic stuff, you're able to pretty much outrace people just by your skill alone, right? It feels like they did it in this game, but then they added these items in alongside that, right? So if you get hit by an item like that, it does mess you up when you're playing against that stuff. And I don't know how everybody's like super skilled like that at the game yet, because it just came out. So
and not even that it just came out, but of course we're using the basic cars. I think that's the thing people forget about. Like I've heard people complain about the drifting, and I'm like, not only is there a whole handling class, but you realize we're playing with the scrub cars.
Well, even with the handling class, I'm gonna go into that with the gameplay. So like in Transformed, like the biggest thing with Transformed, because it wasn't just like the flight mechanics where you fly in a plane or the boat. It was also the maps had changed. So there were 16 new maps in the game, 4 that was old. But of the 16 maps, every lap, something, or not every lap, but most laps, every track, something would change on that map, and it would change where you would go in that lap. And because of that, you were always on your toes, like, and then things would change. Like in the Skies of Arcadia map, in that game, there's like sky ships, so there would be like these air battle with sky ships, and that would destroy the island you drove on. In the last lap, you had to fly over the whole island. And Sonic's map, you had to, like the Ocean View map, in the third lap, that area would lower and you go into the boat. It'd be things like that that would happen. And because of that, well, it wasn't just because of that, but with the way the mechanics work in the game, everything was very loose. Like the drifting was very loose. And to be fair, that did cause some glitches. That game can be very buggy, but it's not like a glitch fest. But they are there. But at the same time, it's super fun to do that. It's kind of like Mario Kart Wii, where like you can really the game is so
you can
loose
break that game.
You can break it like that. And in this game, they made the drifting very tight. Like it's very tight, not loose at all, which is not so much of a problem, but you have to get used to it. And so when people drift in that game, when you get a handling vehicle, you try to drift over a corner, you might drift into the corner because of how tight the handling is. And that's one thing that I think kind of should be fixed, because I played a handling character. I was playing there's actually 4 types of vehicles that we got to see. There's 4 types of vehicles. I don't know if the characters themselves, I think they do come with their stats.
I think it's Amy and Cream. Amy has the highest handling, and Cream is like the second highest handling.
Yeah, so there's like there was a speed type, and then Tails had a type. I don't know, I think it's called a technical type. Then there's the power type, and there's a handling type. It's
speed, acceleration, handling, and I know that, I think technical. I swear that was in Team Sonic Racing. I don't even know what that meant. But yeah, speed, acceleration, power, and handling.
Yeah, you can see your stats and stuff, and you can't mix a speed part with a handling part. That is one thing I think I noticed. Yeah. Okay. I don't think I could do that.
I mean, that makes sense, because then everyone would end up just making very like balanced cars. Like, so then it would kind of like negate the like organizing the cars into types. Because at that point, you might as well just have all the cars in just one thing, and then, I agree with that. Because the characters already, like, you could put a power character in a handling car. So so you can balance out in that way.
Yeah, and then you can and it does affect like the major stats of the game, and you can put like a handling character in a speed car, but you won't get. It is kind of like Mario Kart, where like you can put them in like the faster cars, but just because you put them in that doesn't mean they're going to give you like the utmost speed because you pick the speed car. It's kind of like you say, it is kind of a balance with that, and that's where it goes back to that skill thing, because the thing, like, if I were to compare it to Crash Team Racing, they added this feature later, because in the original game everybody had a type, right? There were speed characters, handling characters, and there were other sets of characters, but if you were a handling character, you were a lot slower, but you had better handling. But let's say like a speed character know what they're doing, right? You have to be a handling character that really knows what you're doing, or you're going to lose that race if you get hit once. by that person.
Yeah.
And so the same thing kind of happens here, right? Because there are items that you can get, so you can customize like your license thing or whatever before you enter a race. And as you race, gadgets. You have to unlock more stuff for it. And one thing that was OP that you had is it's just like this warp ring. So this warp ring, essentially what it does is when you activate it, it latches on to the persons in front of you. But if there's nobody in front of you, it just kind of teleports you over everything, pretty much. Just
you talking about the red ring?
Yeah, that red ring, and it'll put you above that person. Now, you can dodge certain items if you time it right. They actually tell you how to do it. Like you got to press a certain, either analog stick or press A or a certain button at a certain time in order to dodge it. But the timing is very quick, and if you get in some of these items, like I said, if I forgot which item it was, but there's one item you get hit with and you get turned around. You get turned around completely, right? And that messes you up real bad. Like you lose the race real bad. That's how bad it messes you up. And that type of stuff, I think they do need to fix the balance on it. I don't think items should be, because none of the games have an item that really do that. Because the time it takes to turn around is just too long. I think it's way too long for them to be doing some stuff like that. I'm
not gonna lie. I don't know what item you talking about, bro.
I forgot the exact item, but it's one item in the game. You get hit by it, it will turn you around completely.
You might have got hit and it got turned around another way.
Nah, it was happening multiple times. It was one item that kept doing it. If I got hit by it, but I forgot which item it was. I forgot the exact one.
Yeah, because I'm seeing the because they do have the I'm gonna send it to you. They have the manual with all the items, and the closest thing I can think of is the magnet. The magnet like pulls you in if you drive past it, and they can, that initial thing. I know that can. I think it's cool. I mean, obviously I haven't played against it. I think that mug will mess you up, but yeah, I feel like with the items, what I feel like I was noticing was that if you're like in any spot you're in, like if you're in first or you're in second, even if you get hit with like the green punch glove, because everybody's in such a big pack, if you get hit one time, you're literally in like 8th place by the time you catch up. And it's like it's so, I was just be watching people, I'd be like, how is this happening? Like it'd be so crazy. It'd be like, it'd be literally take one item and you went 8th. And like sometimes, and it's crazy because a lot of the items, the way it seemed like their philosophy is that compared to Mario Kart, when you get hit with a green shell, you come to almost a complete stop. Hit with a red shell, blue shell, even though blue shell, you're in like a heavy stop. You're like you're standing still for like a good like 1-2 seconds. And if you get knocked off the stage, you're off for like a good like 2 seconds. In this game, you come back almost immediately. Tricks, you can't fail tricks. Like it seems like kind of their philosophy is like they're trying to like cut out that downtime where you're not going fast. Like almost most of the items in this game, they just slow you down significantly, but they don't bring it all the way to a stop. So it's like it seems like they're trying to make sure everybody can just keep going, which is like, I think that's part of like the addicting part of it, is that like it feels like I mean like I said, I ain't played the game, but it seems like very like exhilarating, crazy, like you still like you always seem to have a chance. But at the same time, it's like it's almost like if you're in first, like you never really truly have a lead, because it just in this I don't know. It's I think the items, I think it's not really. I think one of the biggest thing is that like you can't, compare it to something like Mario Kart or Crash or even Team Sonic Racing, you can't hold items behind your back no more. So like there's no defense.
It's because they're defensive. They're defensive items. They made strictly defensive items that you get when you're in first and stuff. So another thing, like the warp ring, for instance, that warp ring, if you hold it while you're in first, right? Like your first place, like I say, you teleport you over everything for a certain amount of distance. You can just use that when someone hits you, and you're good. You can shoot stuff back, but you can't just hold stuff like that behind you. They gave you defensive options in that sense, and plus also they give you the ability to dodge certain items with certain movements, and because of that, I understand them not letting you hold items like this. They already give you a lot of defensive options to counter people.
I think there's the options like the tornado and like the tornado specifically and like the shield. I know those are two good defensive things but I just feel like I feel like it's not like for example, if you're in first place in Mario Kart, the RNG is like heavily favored that you're gonna get something that's like a banana or like a green shell, or you're gonna get a coin. But I think the RNG in general is a little messed up. Like I think even people in last place, like I don't think the strongest items are skewed enough towards the back, and I don't think that defensive stuff is skewed enough towards the front. And I feel like
the item rotation is pretty like loose. Like you're getting a lot of best items in the front, like more to the front, and then like stuff like the drill, which is probably the bullet bill of the game, are pretty weak in comparison to other items. Is they do got to work on that. But
and I think that the initial gut reaction is that the drill is weak because it doesn't move that fast compared to like the bill. Like the bill, for the most part, you'd be zooming, but this one you seem to be slightly going higher than the normal speed. But I do think because most of the time you're not going to be that far back. Like a lot of times you be in a pack, you just be in like the back of the pack. So I feel like the stuff like the drill, the monster truck, the laser, I think they're in like a good spot. I think they just need to be more congregated towards the back. And I do see what you're saying about the defense, but I still feel like at least some like the more physical items, like first of all, like the green punching glove, I think it's so cool that you can lock on and like you can kind of like manually aim. I think that's such a cool thing, but at the same time it's almost like there's so many strong items, like there's so many attacking items in this game. It's like I feel like that cool thing, like I feel like they gotta sacrifice that, bro, and they just need to make it like manual, like you can only manual aim, because there's so many ways to get hit in this game, and there's so many items. I meant to count. I tried to count, like to compare, like for example, how many opportunities did I have for you to get item capsules in the East Stadium compared to Mario Stadium? Like I feel like not only do they offer more opportunities to get items, but they also come back a little faster. Like when somebody gets an item in front of you, it comes back a little faster, just because of course everybody's in a big old pack. But like I think it's all like contributing. All those little things are just contributing to what can be like. Of course, like I said, I ain't played the game. I'm not trying to speak over somebody who played the game, but just looking, it seems like it'll be like 15 seconds of like pure chaos, pure item chaos, and then there'll be like 5 seconds of like just racing, like just the bliss of just racing, and then you already add another set of items, and then there's just another 15 seconds of chaos. It's like 15-5. Like that's what at least with these shorter stages that we've been seeing, and the way the items set up. I don't know, maybe they just need to reduce the amount of items or what, but that's just what it is looking like.
They just need to balance some of the item, like which place do you get certain items, because I think you're getting too many OP items near the front, and that does, in my opinion, that mess. I know they're trying to like make it more competitive in the first place, but I think they can do that without giving people like the monster truck. I shouldn't be getting the monster truck in fourth place, and I was getting it in fourth place. Like and that's too, or warp rings in that place. That's too much. But one time I got warp ring like 3 times in a row, and I was like in fourth place, doing it to the same guy over and over again. Like that's too much to get, and they gotta really manage that part of the game. Like that's the one thing they gotta manage.
And not even that, but sometimes I know even in Mario Kart, sometimes you can see multiple people with the same items. Like sometimes there'd be 2 fools with a bullet, like very rarely. But I swear, like sometimes I've seen like 3 people with monster trucks all driving at the same time. It's like, yo, like y'all, they gotta chill on that as well. Like sometimes like too many of y'all got all the strong items at the same time. Like y'all gotta relax.
Yeah, they gotta fix that.
But yeah, and then of course the tricks, I like I said, I've been watching people. That's the main thing. Of course I made the video on the tricks. I wanted to see how it actually came into full effect. And I do kind of, one of my main concerns was just the fact that I think that it can get kind of repetitive, like the fact that you don't really have to, I think not now, but maybe in like 6 months or in like a year, it's like tricks not gonna feel as cool or fun or nothing, because like there's no risk, and like it doesn't require like anything. Like I think it doesn't have to be like as doesn't need as much of a risk as like in Riders. Like if you miss a trick in Riders or in Team Sonic Racing, you get that big speed debuff. Maybe you just don't, maybe if you mess up a trick or you don't land it correctly, maybe you just get no boost, or maybe you just get the bare minimum boost.
Well, you don't get a full boost if you mess up. If you don't do the tricks, you don't get the full. If you don't do it right, you don't get like a full boost as you would if you land the wrong way.
Oh, that's perfect.
You gotta like time them and put them right in the trick system. They try to mix the Riders and the transform trick system together. So they're a lot faster to pull off, but you do have to land correctly. It just doesn't look like it, but you don't get like a full boost if you do not land it correctly. You have to still land it correctly.
Cause when I would watch fools do tricks, I swore I thought that, bro, because I remember thinking multiple times, like, these fools are doing like 50 tricks and I feel like they still getting a normal boost. Like at one point I was like, maybe the speedy tricks is not even worth it, because I don't even seem like they give you that big of a boost. But it might be precisely that, like you just get that bare minimum boost.
They're probably not landing right, and they're probably you got to do multiple of them in different ways. They're also not landing right.
Yeah, I gotta get into this next. I'm about to steal your little sister's PS5, bro, because I need to confirm that that's gonna be mine.
Nope.
But
yeah, I would from Walmart.
Nah, bro, that's gonna be mine. She'll be alright. But that's fire. And then of course I do. Anybody can watch my video if they want to see my other ideas for it. But yeah, there was nothing besides that. The only other thing I can think of, it's not even that big of a deal, but I know there's actually like a lot of invisible walls in the game, and like I said, it's like they're trying to make the game not very punishing, and that's fine. But like I think there's some shortcuts, like in Metal Harbor, and that how you, at the very end of Metal Harbor, where you can kind of do that little shortcut ramp when you drift to the right. Then they have a big old invisible wall that stops you from flying off. I feel like invisible walls like that. I did not
notice that at all.
Yeah, anytime I watch someone take that shortcut.
Shortcuts. So that was one of the hardest shortcuts to do, because you would go flying off if you didn't time it right with the drift. You would go flying off. I did not notice the invisible walls at all, if there were any in the game. You actually had to be careful on certain shortcuts that they made. So the way they did it, like their Sky Road in the game is one of the Crossworlds.
Yeah,
they're very subtle with the way you see them. You have to really go out. You have to like go into that direction immediately, and they're under stuff. And
Ocean Palace. I've seen people die on that shortcut a million times.
Yeah, they're very risk and reward with shortcuts. You got to be very careful, or you fall, and that's another thing. You fall, you're gonna get people gonna catch up fast to you if you fall. So you gotta. I didn't notice the invisible walls at all. I don't know where people found that at, but I didn't notice it.
Anytime I ever saw someone, it's like on Metal Harbor, where there's at the very end of the race, it's like you drift to the right and there's a straightaway, there's a goal line. It's like that run ramp where you could kind of like skip that little turn. Anytime I ever saw someone land it, they would always hit the left invisible wall that would basically stop them from overshooting it. And so I'm specifically talking about like walls like that. I think stuff like this, the fact that Ocean Palace and Sky Road, that those had like those were more strict. I think that's what I'm looking for. But like I said, that's the only one I could even think of off the top of my head. Everything else I think's been pretty, been pretty cool. Like the whole game, Mug looks fire. But do you have anything? What's your wish list? What you gonna ask Santa for on Crossworlds?
Well, I should say that you were talking about the characters. I mean, they pretty much confirmed
You
like all.
want
That's
the
why I'm not
Yakuza
really worried
4?
about the Sonic characters right now because they pretty much confirmed like every Sonic character that really should have been in Team Sonic Racing. If you're gonna make a Sonic Race only racing game, like all the full teams from Sonic Heroes there, Silver and Blaze are there.
Yep, Metal.
Like the Team Babylon is there. Yeah, Metal Sonic is there. Sage is there. We saw Sage.
That's freaking cold, bro.
The Egg Pawn, which is like a nod to Riders because they always had an Egg Pawn.
Yeah.
And of course the Deadly Six are there with Zavik and Zaz.
But I need the IDW, bro. I need the Surge. I need the Lanolin. That's what I want for real.
They said that there was going to be. It says many more on the character select. So he put all the characters we know are in the game. So far, it's like 23. There are 28 slots on that character select. So 23 slots, so hard to feel, but it says many more, so there's going to be more characters. So I thought they meant like, oh, there's the DLC or like live services thing, which they probably are live services in this thing. Let's just be honest, because Sega has been talking about they want to make a super game where they live service stuff, and with this new super game, so they've been talking about they have been trying to do it with Jet Set Radio. I think they're going to do it with Streets of Rage and Golden Axe and things like that. From what they've been saying, and Crazy Taxi, I think Crazy Taxi leaked, and we know for sure that's going to be like a battle royale type game with Crazy Taxi, which the leaks make it look really fun, but we'll see how that turns out. So they're gonna live service, but when they said like all these characters, they're talking about the base game. So they're talking about like when they say Sega characters, when they say like there could be characters from this or that, they're talking about the base game. They're talking about DLC. I think the game's coming out a lot sooner than we think. Because
me too.
Because Mario Kart, I think that's a smart. Even though I said like it shouldn't, I think it'll be fine. Right? People are freaking out like, Mario Kart's gonna destroy it. It's like no, it's for me. One, it's multi-platform. Two, it's Sonic. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
I think it should come out before. Only reason I want to come out before is just because the social media. Social media, they're gonna be talking about Mario Kart. That's the only reason. Like, and I want Sonic to be talked about, established. Like, oh yeah, this is a game, this is a good game, and then Mario Kart can come in. That's the only reason.
Well, it's multi-platform. There isn't anything competing with it on any other platform. That's why PlayStation pushed it, because they don't have something to compete with it. You used to have it. There was Jack X. That was really good. We don't want to make new Jack and Daxter games no more. So there's no more Jack and Daxter. There's no more Jack X. There was Little Big Planet Carton. That was pretty good. But we don't want to make Little Big Planet games no more. There's My Nation Racers. We want to delist that game. So we don't want that anymore. So we need like a kid's mascot racer game on our systems, akin to Mario Kart. I mean, there's Crash, but Activision
and Ratchet
has been, Microsoft owns Activision now, so they'll do the multi-platform stuff, but they seem to be just they don't seem to be making that game right now, and they just made a live service game that failed. So those are out. Ratchet and Clank never had one. It only had Deadlock as a spinoff, which is all it had is like those more action-focused games for the multiplayer spinoffs. So they don't have any options. So that's why I think they keep trying to promote Sonic, because they realize, all they got is like Sackboy and Ratchet and Clank that are technically active, and now Astrobot that are technically active. Now if they put Ratchet and Clank in this game, oh hell yeah, that's who I want in this game. They need the crowd crossover. Ratchet and Clank is like my second favorite. Well, it's between Ratchet and Clank, Tony Hawk, and Spyro, like my second favorite video game franchise after Sonic. So if Ratchet and Clank crossover with Sonic, that's going to be like, I don't care what they say, roster 10 out of 10. But
it's going to be the Smash Bros of kart racers.
Yeah, they definitely need to boost the roster up. Like I said, they pretty much, as of right now, the only people they're missing from Sonic is like Team Hooligan, Fang, Bart, Bean. They're missing like the classic variants, which would be pretty cool because they have their own cars from like the Sonic Drift game back in the day.
Yeah,
that was the original one that came out. And then you're missing like the boss characters like Chaos and Mephiles. Anybody, one of them that can fit in the car. Infinite, things like that. The IDW
Dark,
characters.
What's his name? Black Doom.
Yeah,
he would be lit.
They probably make
that'd be lit.
They probably go to a cart.
Nah, because when he does tricks, he'll turn into the little one.
You see Gimro. That's when I.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yes. Oh snap! Yeah, they gotta have my boy in. And Blaze, of course.
Oh, Blaze already confirmed.
And Takal, they gotta put my girl Takal.
Was one, yeah. So they pretty much got. So I'm really. I guess I'm really more concerned about which Sega characters they're picking now. When they made All-Stars Racing was more like a drift focused game. That was his big gimmick. Like the drifting was really important. They made levels around that. Like you had to drift so hard, like on certain turns. It was crazy. That made that game really fun. But I don't think that was better than Mario Kart. But it had like a really unique roster for that game in terms of the Sega lineup. Like it had Oompa Oompa Fantasy. That's how I got into a lot of Sega games. So they had that in that Genesis collection that came out. So I got to play that stuff. So it had like Oompa Oompa from Fantasy Zone. It had like some weirdos in that roster, but it also had some cool people like Beat from Jet Set Radio. I think what's going to happen is because now people have to be on boards. Because this happened in Transformed. Gonna be hard.
They might be restricted only to cars.
That's
just like Eggman.
That's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen.
That's what like happened Eggman and Sonic Riders. He can only play in the bikes.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen because what happened in Transformed was that they just cut characters like Oompa, because Oompa Oompa was his own vehicle. Because Oompa Oompa himself is like a living spaceship. So in that original game, he was his own vehicle, but they couldn't figure out how to make a transforming vehicle for you. They didn't put you in the game. So in Transformed, a lot of people got cut because they couldn't make those vehicles for him. But Oompa Oompa was a board in Sonic Riders and Zero Gravity.
Yeah,
you could buy them. A lot of people don't know what he is. A lot of people don't know what those Sega stages are. I do. I love Sega as a whole, but that's why I think it's important for them to put them in there because one, I think it's a part of the history, and some of that stuff is what Sonic Team worked on. So like Knights for sure has to be there. Knights was in Riders anyway, so that's a Riders veteran. Knights was in Sonic Adventure, right? Sonic's first 3D appearance technically was in a Knights game, the first Knights game. Like I said in my video. So that's important, right? That's like Izuka's baby. Super Monkey Ball, they've been crossing over. So that's another one important. Billy Hatcher is a Sonic Team game. It's a very obscure one, but it's a Sonic Team game. Sábado de Amigo, that just got a new game. And that's another Sonic Team game that also crossed over with Sonic in his own game. Both of his own, the new one and the Wii one had music in the first one and had the pinball party where Knights and Sábado de Amigo crossed over in pinball boards. And then you got Jet Set Radio, people like. You got Space Channel 5, the Dreamcast stuff, Rio. And then you got the stuff they're trying to bring back right now, like BD Joe and Crazy Taxi. You got Golden Axe and Streets of Rage. These are things that were around Sonic. So you had a Genesis back in the day. You probably had Streets of Rage. You had Sonic the Hedgehog, you had Streets of Rage. You had Golden Axe. You also had Shinobi. That stuff's coming back.
And the fact that it might not even just be characters, it could just be stickers too. Just like in Smash Bros. Like they have a lot of representation. It's not even with the characters. Just that stuff.
Well, I think someone to like Oompa Oompa. I think there should be a vehicle. Like I think they should make that a vehicle again.
And just so you know, my real wish list is I want more extreme gear types, bro. I need the skates and I need the glider. That's my real wish list. I don't want it to just be boards.
So what I think is going to happen with that, we may see it. I don't know if they're going to do it, but the reason why I think Extreme Gear is not on the table is because Extreme Gear may be having the same like system as the cars, but like each type is a different thing. So remember they have like in Zero Gravity it had like the most variation. So it had like the bikes, it had the roller skates, had the boards, and then I think if you were a fly type, it transformed into like this hovercraft.
That glider thing.
Yeah, and there was another one that transformed into too. It was like a I forgot what it was. It was like some flying scooter, something like that. It's a flying vehicle. It's another word for it.
It looked like a motorcycle.
No, it wasn't that. It was
the
like
one where they lie flat on their stomach.
Yeah, you know Treasure. You've seen Treasure Planet.
Yeah, no, that's in the comics.
No, in Zero Gravity, like in Zero Gravity, they had like a vehicle that transformed. Like there was a second variation. So like each like vehicle, each like the speed, flight, and power, they all had different variations. Like
right,
they had like one the main variation,
like when you
and
level,
the second variation. Yeah,
when you level up, it changes. Oh yeah, you're right. It did. Yeah. It did like the broom. I'm looking at a picture of it now.
That thing. Whatever that's called. The speed was the skates. And
I hope they don't do that mess, bro. Like I understand that if it turns to a flying type, I might have to look a certain way. But I really hate. That's the thing I hated most about Zero Gravity is that I wanted to play as my board. I didn't want you to make me play the skates after. Like I really hated that mess. But I do hope that has an extra types, but yeah, I just hope they don't force it. And I do hope with the customization, I hope you get to change your trail, like the energy trail that comes after. That'll be cool.
Yeah, they can do stuff with that. And that goes back to like the Sega stuff. You know, they already put in like levels for the Sega games, even though they're not outright saying it right now. Like that one level that I played, like I knew from the trailer, like this looks familiar.
The lava one.
Yeah, I'm like, this is. Cause I'm like, it's called Lava Cave, but then you think about it, like, okay, why is there a space inside of a cave, right? But then you played, you know, the 3DS, they re-released Galaxy Force 2, and that's one of the levels. Like that's one of the first levels you can go to, is that lava planet, and it looks exactly like that. The dragons are there, all this stuff is there. It is straight out of Galaxy Force 2. Now I don't know if that planet's not called that. But I don't know why they called it that. I don't know why they just didn't say it's from Galaxy Force 2. But it, you know, it's inspired from that. It's straight up from Galaxy Force 2. Then that museum level is definitely from 2 Point Museum, which just came out. It's like some like, you know, museum sim game that they made. So they're definitely making levels inspired off of it. So I just think it's important for them to put that Sega stuff in there because it gets Sonic fans. A lot of Sonic fans to play other games. So I'm just being honest. Second off, it gets them into other Sega franchises, and that's how I got into other Sega franchises and learned all that history and started playing a lot of their games from that. Right when they had collections, that collection. I think they called it Sonic Ultimate Genesis Collection back in the day because it had Sonic on there. A lot of people bought that just because it had Sonic on there, and a lot of people because of that they started playing games like Shinobi and Golden Axe and Phantasy Star, and
just like all these other games. Like Smash and Xenoblade, put that game on the map.
You put the game on the map, and people can see that, oh, that character's pretty cool, and they go play it. Right now, they delisted some stuff, so you can't go play it right now. Like, but if they put it back up, you know, that's the perfect way to get people into these franchises, and then you can go revive these franchises or bring them back. Mm-hmm. And you can put stuff in there, like you're not even thinking about stuff like Yakuza could be in there, like Persona.
Wait, Kiryu.
I want Sakura Wars in there. That came back. It came back like 5 years ago. No, 6 years ago now. But they gotta make a sequel to that. I think they're making a sequel to it. But that's a very obscure one that we barely got over here. But I always bring it up. I want to make a video on it someday. Someday.
The Persona fools, they're gonna go crazy on the Persona fools too. But I did want to, before we start running out of time, I did want to get into Unleashed, my boy. Unleashed.
Oh yeah.
With the mess that just happened, the shadow drop. They literally, like, the biggest shadow drop I ever remember is Apex Legends, when they just dropped that mug. They dropped the trailer and said, oh yeah, you can download that mug right now. This is, like, to me, just as crazy. These fools, a whole bunch of modders in the Sonic community, they've been working in the shadows for some years, recompiling the entire Sonic Unleashed. Not just recompiling it, but also they made it open source. So, like, to lay the groundwork for other Xbox 360 games to be recompiled. And what that basically means is, on PC, they literally have, like, the perfect port of Sonic Unleashed. And it's honestly, like, blows out any expectation that Sonic team could probably do. with an Unleashed remaster, not only is like the frame rate go crazy, it's like I think you can go uncapped. I think that it has the ultra widescreen support. It has the music toggle so you can turn off the battle music, and they have all these freaking features, and the mug just looks gorgeous, and it plays perfectly like Unleashed has never been played before. And the mug got shadow dropped yesterday. And so, JayBlast, just tell me your thoughts on this mug, bro.
Well, it's not for me because I got a 360. Well, I got not 360. I got like a Series S, and we got like the 60 FPS, and that's all I really wanted.
You got the 60 FPS, but you trying to hear the jazz band? You trying to hear the jazz band? I'm cool with that, man. I grew up with that, bro. I don't need. Look, man. I don't look. I appreciate the Sonic Monica. You know, I say this in my Sonic Adventure video, bro. That's the whole point of me recording that video and having it set up in the way I did. I appreciate what the Sonic modding community does. I really do. But some people be acting like they need the mods just to play the game. Like I don't need your mods to play the game. That's extra. That's like whipped cream on the milkshake, right? The milkshake is what I'm there for. The whipped cream is extra. That's what, not gonna lie.
What I'm saying?
It depends on the game. I'm not gonna lie. It depends on the game. Shadow Generations, I'm okay with that vanilla. SA2, I'm okay with vanilla. Adventure 1, I'm okay with vanilla. There's so many games I'm good with vanilla, but you know, Sonic Generations is cool vanilla. But low key, bro, like I don't know if I could play Frontiers vanilla again. Like I beat the whole game vanilla. I mean, and I still had fun, but it's like, dang, there's some mods, bro, that just like I can't imagine turning that mug off.
I mean, that's just the whipped cream. That's it's the whipped cream on it.
I guess I like whipped cream.
It's because you still got because the game at the end of the day, the base game gotta be good enough for me to even want to mod it. If it's not good enough, I'm not gonna go mod it. Or feel like Forces, for instance, there's a lot of Forces mod that, you know, quote unquote fix the game or add to the game.
Overclocked.
And overclocked, and I play them, and they're all right. But they're pretty good for the modding community does its thing. But I don't really care to play Forces. So I'm not gonna play them. I'm not gonna touch it.
Like I was thinking about buying Forces on PC for overclock, but I was like, nah. I was like, I don't know if they already got me on Switch. I'm like, I don't know if I can do all that.
You know, like if the base game can't save itself, then there's no point. I mean, I appreciate that. I'm not downplaying what the modding community does, but I'm just saying, like, you know, I don't need them. This is all extra. This is great, but it's all, you know, extra. But we've been wanting a PC, but this is bigger than that because this isn't just a mod. This is like a PC port that we've been asking for Sega.
Like this is a real port.
They never did it for multiple reasons. I think the main problem is just that
they're scared.
I could really go into this topic because I've been kind of like thinking about it for a long time. This could probably be its own video if we ever did it, but it would bring up, you know, 06 and everything went down with that and like the reception of certain games, things like that. I just think that anything that is above the 6th generation, and even in the 6th generation, you're really stretching it of what can be put inside of a collection and consolidated, right, without being, you know, touched upon, is gonna need like a proper port, like Generation and Colors, especially those Wii games. They gotta remap those buttons and stuff, and so Sega doesn't really do it. And with Unleashed, I just think it's purely because they're like, oh well, it wasn't received well initially, so a lot of the heads at Sega, because right now, even though we're in good times with the game releases, they do care about review scores. They care about review scores still, because they said they want like high review scores for all their games. At least the head of Sega does, because he just wants a reputation. I get that. I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's like that's what they look at. So if a game like Unleashed, which, you know, which I still think it got done dirty back in the day. A lot of people do. If people didn't think that, they wouldn't port the PC. They just wouldn't
watching reviews back then. They just don't make. I haven't even. I just so you know, I ain't even played Unleashed yet. I'm about to stream that mug for the first time. I'm so excited to finally play this mug. But like
to summarize those reviews, they lie.
The mugs
a lot of people
were lying.
A lot of people lie, and I'm not talking about like their opinions on the game, like if you didn't like the game or not. I mean, like they would lie in the review.
And
so one of the main things they lied about.
One
One of the main things they lied about And you can go back and fact check this too. One of IGN, a bunch of people just saw what IGN said and then copied and pasted. So they said that there was more nighttime levels in the 360 version than the Wii version, and that is a lie. That is a blatant lie, because in the 360 version you only have to play one nighttime level, and for most stages one daytime level, right? But in the Wii version you have to play up to 3 to 4 to eventually 8 nighttime levels in a row, and these are long levels, right?
Yeah,
these are long levels. And in the daytime stage in the Wii version is just one level that they ended up splitting into parts for the other missions. So it's just one level, while the nighttime stages got like full new levels for the 3 sets or 4 sets of levels per stage that they put you through. And I remember it. Like it's just a lie. That's an easy lie you can like confirm, like just by playing the game, playing both games side by side. And even the daytime stages in the 360 version, the extra acts, there was more extra daytime acts, because some nighttime stages in the base game of Unleashed didn't even get a second stage. You had to get DLC, and they finally got a second stage. There were still more daytime stages if you include the missions and all that. People would just lie, and they got away with it because the reputation of Sonic, and I say it was due to a lot of things. It wasn't just 06 in my opinion. I think it was a lot of stuff. Was just bad back then. People just say what they want because that was the meme to make fun of it back then. And unfortunately, that affects us today, because now Sega looks at that and they're like, oh, well, it wasn't received well, because all the stuff that happened with Unleashed, right? That's Microsoft. That's Microsoft going to Sega saying, hey, can we do this? Because that's what they did with the backwards compatibility program. They went to other companies and said, hey, can we bring this back? Can we? That's all they had to do, because it was their systems that made that work. The 60 FPS, that's them. It's not Sega working with them. That's them going into the code of the game with their own algorithm, whatever they did for backwards compatibility program, and making it work at 60 FPS. All that's Microsoft. That's Microsoft letting them be asking to be realistic. That's them doing that. Sega had no involvement in that. That's why it got put back on the 360 store and it's not gone, right? Forever, right? So that's why it's not on PC. So it's unfortunate, but I just think no matter how much upward we're going to give, when they try to pitch that, I think they're working on too much right now, because Sonic Team's working on Sonic Racing, Crossworlds, and they're working, Frontiers 2. And
they probably got another 2D game coming. I bet you. I bet you their second team.
Yeah,
they're probably doing another remaster. I bet they're doing another remaster. Yeah, and
it's like if you're gonna remaster a game right now, right? And if I was the head of Sega and they say, okay, we need to remaster Sonic game for 1 year because we're not gonna be able to put Frontiers 2 out right then, I would go for Adventure 1 and 2, like, because it's not there yet, and we got the classic games in the collection. The Dreamcast games in the collection, right? So I would go, if not a full-blown remake, because in my opinion, if you're going to make new graphics, just make it a full-blown remake, start reworking some stuff. We can go into detail on that type of video another day, but just either that or make a Dreamcast collection and have like Sonic Adventure 2 and Heroes, and maybe Shadow of Fire. I doubt they'll do it because of the ratings nowadays and what that game had. I mean, they can always go in and just censor stuff, but then you get people moaning and crying about that, even though that's what's going to happen in the kids' game. They're not going to have people saying damn and hell anymore, and the blood and stuff. I mean, that was a thing at the time, bro. Like, and even then it was E10, so I don't know what to tell people then, but I know it would at least have Sonic Adventure 1, 2, and Heroes, and then maybe they may make a handheld collection with the advanced games, and maybe the Rush games, and maybe Rivals. But there's just certain games that are just never getting brought back. And I'm not saying Unleashed can never get brought back. Like, maybe one day it will. But I think games like Sonic 06, like Sonic Chronicles Dark Brother, that for sure ain't coming back because of BioWare. It's not even Penders, bro. It realistically,
that's what them fools said. They said it's because of Penders. That's what the fool. They interviewed the fool. He said Penders. It really, I looked deeper into that. He really has no control over that, but they don't want to put anything in there because of potential. It's not him that they're afraid of. It's just that other artists
because of what he did, other artists could feel entitled to do what he did. It wasn't even a Sega thing; it was more of an Archie thing. But it's a whole video that kind of explains it. You kind of feel a little bit on his side because when you get the full story, because people didn't really explain it the best. Everyone was hating Penders because of like the Knuckles hat thing. There's a lot of misconceptions with that, but again, that's another video. But
you're gonna put your Penders defense video.
I'm not a defender.
Right. I'm just saying. And I get what you're saying. That it's like not that
it's too much misinformation.
And there's his side, her side, and the truth. Like there's always gray area to everything. It's not like people aren't just like obviously Penders is not some crazy fool. And realistically, there's probably some aspects that he's right or he's entitled, and it makes sense of what he's doing. But of course, internet don't see it that way.
Anything. He never no. Let me tell you the truth real quick in a sweet and short way. Okay, the only reason why and this goes down to Archie, not Sega, because Archie messed up. And then Sega had to step in. We're like, okay, what's going on, right? Because basically, Penders was like, who has the rights to the characters that I made, right? Had nothing to do with Shade, because he didn't make Shade. He claims he made these ideas, like the Kid in the City, this and that.
Like that
lore. He didn't make that. And even then, he said Sega can use it. He doesn't care. He just wants to know who made it, who has the rights. Archie could not provide that evidence, whether they never made him sign the contract for it or they lost the contract. They're saying they lost the contract, and because they went to court, because of that one thing, if they were going to court on it, he could probably win, and that would piss Sega off heavily. Yeah. So their solution was, okay, we're not going to get Sega fully involved in this. We're going to get rid of every character that he made or other people made, and only keep the game characters and the freedom fighters, which Sega fully owns. Sega really owns everybody. He doesn't really own any of that stuff fully, but it's just that the rights are up in the air. He doesn't really care if they use certain people like that or certain ideas like that, but it's just that they couldn't provide that evidence. That's the only thing. He didn't really win anything, but because things didn't appear, and because of the rumors that came out during that time, a bunch of misinfo spread about what was done. Now, I'm not a Penders defender because he said some things he wanted to put in the Archie comments that I did not like. Yep. There's some directions he took in Archie comments that I did not like, and like I said, that's another video. But I think the problem is that we got to get the facts straight. We got to get the facts straight on these type of things. We can't keep perpetuating lies, because that's why people get shot. Like, oh, Knuckles have his hat back. He could always have his hat. They just never used it, and people made up some BS. It's like now we make a BS with these IDW comics that they're getting canceled, and they're doing just fine. Like just.
I think that, and they're like the best. They're the best comic of IDW right now. Yeah, so there's them and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So like, if IDW, they will not get shut down until IDW shuts down.
They're really going to cancel the series about the crossover with DC and the series that just crossed over with Naruto. Like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Peak popularity with movies and all this mess. But yeah.
I just think they're. Go ahead.
No, there's just a lot. But I do feel like the just that early 2000s, like when you just look at, like, all you have to do is if you just look at the release schedule for Sonic games from like literally like 2001, like basically since SA2 to Unleashed, or not even SA2, more like SA2 to 06, they released so many games at that time. And that is almost so ridiculous. It's like, those are the games I wish they could get the second chances, because like they were all so ambitious, and like they're releasing like all in the same like 3 years. Heroes, Riders, Billy Hatcher, Shadow the Hedgehog, and then 06 right after, and then Secret Wing. All that. It's just like they were doing so much
after 06,
and they just and it just makes me feel so bad, because if Sega wouldn't have mismanaged that franchise and just gave them more like time with all these things, these games like Shadow the Hedgehog has so many great ideas, and Sonic Heroes has so many great ideas and everything. It's just, these things.
Well, the problem wasn't the polish. The problem was never Unleash was a polished game. You know, like they got that was developed in 2005.
That's why Unleash. I don't even consider Unleash in that little thing, because they did that mug perfectly. There's like no, I mean, besides just the technology, you know, the 360.
Even honestly, man, I would say like the only game
Black Knight was polished.
Yeah, the only game to release that just didn't have that polish. Like if we're talking about like the way the game ran, the glitches and all that, like how it looks and everything, the only game that didn't have that was 06. That was the only game that didn't have that, at least at the time.
I disagree. I think it's not. No other game was as bad as 06, definitely. But games like Shadow the Hedgehog, if you gave that team another year, that game would look radically different. Just like the mission structure, and just like it seems like just the testing, like internal testing. There's some decisions that they made. It's like, y'all, I feel like they're like half-baked ideas. Same with Heroes. Like, I feel like things wouldn't, like the idea that the level designers were really, the fools were going in and out of the hospital, stuff like that. Like, you gave these fools more time.
Was the only one at a time, like, designing levels, and he
lost all that weight, everything.
Yeah.
Like those games, Sonic Riders, like, I think Sonic Riders is a great game. I think the game has a lot of polish. But I do think there's still like, it's still a little rough around the edges a little bit. I don't think the game needs that much more time in the oven, but there's just some things they just could have cleaned up. It would have been smoother. It would have probably been perceived much better, even on the tutorial aspect. Like, I know they had that video, but I feel like they could have went so much deeper. And like Shadow the Hedgehog, that game is, when you think about it, that game is so ambitious to have like 7, 10 endings, and then have the true one, and have all the different stories or whatever. Like, they didn't even, and even like the music.
Well, see, too, that's why I think it's still
like, it's just more time.
But see, that's what I mean. Like, we're talking about, when I say pause, I'm talking about like
you're talking about like glitches and
the structure of the game, like how it runs and stuff like that. Like all those games didn't have like those issues. Yeah, they had issues in mission structure and like some mission design. But to me, that's still design.
Polished. To me, that's still polished too, because like if you're putting in like obnoxious mission stuff, or like things that basically, if you have more time, you would have like realized, like, you know what, maybe this actually isn't the best idea.
Yeah,
like,
but having the time to go back to the
drawing board.
Sometimes you do have time and you still put that stuff in. Like that's what I mean.
Right,
like,
but them fools didn't have time. That's the thing.
You had time and you still put that shit in. I mean, that game's polished and held back. Like, I'm just saying
that miss is clearly just like, that miss is clearly like just incompetence. You know, no disrespect. That's I feel like with Lost World, like I feel like Unleashed and Lost World in Generations, and I guess Shadow Gens, those 4 are like the 4 most polished, cleanest 3D games, I feel like. But like the latter 2, it's mainly because, and Colors is pretty. I mean, I don't even like to say Colors is polished as well, because like that game just feels like, you know, I get it kind of went back to like that classic feel. Like it just feels a little more bare bones, and of course there's a Wii game.
An idea of it.
Right, but I think those latter 2 games, that's more incompetence. But the other ones, like time, stress, like even the idea, or like how long did they have to be in like the idea creation phase, like compared to like when you think about a game like Breath of the Wild, for example, them fools were spending so much time in just that phase of game making. Mm-hmm. And like they didn't, obviously these early 2000s games, they didn't really have that. Like maybe they would have spent a little bit more time with, you know, figuring stuff out, but like they couldn't afford to spend too much time going back to the drawing board over and over. Like even in your video, I learned with Adventure how much they went back to the drawing board, and like how they designed the beginning of that stage, and then they had to redo the whole stage. Even Frontiers, they went back to the drawing board over and over. So like that, I feel like that's so important.
And this is actually a great discussion. If you don't mind, if I go into it for just a little bit about it.
Go ahead.
The time. This is actually a great. I think we should really have like a discussion video about this, like at some point, like me and you talking about this, because I do want to kind of tell folks about this, because I really think that like when it comes to game design, I think people gotta understand that like game design just isn't linear. It's not something that's linear. Like I think when we see this, we kind of see like a path, right? When you're writing an essay, right? Where there's a start, a body, and a conclusion, right? Or heading, body, conclusion. It's not like that. Sonic Adventure, I'm talking about my video. You know how long it took them to make that game? It took them 2 years to make that game. They made that game in 2 years, and they had like an extra. They had about an extra year to really polish it up for the Western release, which is what they did. A lot of Japanese developers did with their games back then. Even Final Fantasy VII did that. They released they called it the international version. But back then, you have to understand that like everybody can't get that time that like Tears of the Kingdom can get. Even when you get that time, things have to release in that time. Look at Sony right now, for instance, right? Where it's taking like years to get a new game of like God of War or Ratchet and Clank. And in the game, like from Ratchet and Clank case, like sometimes the games are shorter than they used to be on the PS2.
Yeah.
And it's taken like 5 years to get that game. And they weren't developing for 5 years, development for 3 years. But it took 5 years to get that game. Something has to come out. You understand? Like you gotta understand how long 5 years is. 5 years is how long it takes to get through elementary school. 5 years. I mean, that's like
when you put it
all
like
middle school. That's all middle school, and that's like 2 years of high school. 4 years. That was college. That's like college to most people, right?
That's wild.
Like that's a long time. Like it took the span between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom was like what 6 years from 2017 to 2023, right? That was a long time, bro. Like that's not everybody can get that. And the thing is, a lot of stuff happens. People forget. There was not too long ago a time where if you didn't get a game for that long, people thought your game franchise was dead. Metroid had a game. Super Metroid came out. There was not a Metroid game.
I don't even want to talk about Metroid, bro.
Yeah, it didn't. Metroid Fusion didn't come out to like what 2000 something. The last game that came out before it was like Super Metroid, or was it? I think I'm missing one, but it was. You get my point. Like, they can't spend that amount of time on games. And back then, I think the most time you would get on the game is like it was 2 years. Is the 2 years at most to make games, and everybody was doing that. Everyone was doing that, and that's how you made games. And there was always crunch in the game development cycle. There was always rushing. Everything was rushed. A lot of stuff. There was never a game that came out. Even the most polished games you can see, there was never one that came out that wasn't rushed in some form of capacity. You start finding this out when you start looking at the development of these games and how the developers went through. Right, they crunched like super hard, but they got that stuff out, and sometimes they even had like less than a year turnaround, especially if it was a sequel to a game they had to put out, but they were using a lot of assets.
Right, they had no choice.
Yeah. So like when you say like the time and stuff, like they most of the time are designing stuff within their time frame. Because Shadow the Hedgehog was made in the same engine as Sonic Heroes, right? It did not only did it reuse a lot of assets from Heroes, it reused a lot of assets from other Sega games. Like it reused assets from Shinobi PS2. I know because I found the same sound effects and stuff from Shinobi PS2 and the same textures of Shinobi PS2. When I played, I was like, oh wait, this is from Shadow the Hedgehog. Or I guess it'd be the other way around because Shinobi PS2 came out before it. But like they do have a scope with that, and I know they mess up sometimes, but that's why like I view polish in a different way, because if you're like 06, rushing is not the problem. It's not a problem. Well, it is a problem. Crunching and rushing is a problem, but that's not what makes a game bad. Because if that was the case, a lot of the games that came out, some of the greatest games of all time, would be bad. It's what they do with that, or how they are able to manage that time, right? And what comes out of that.
But that's not like a hard and fast rule. I mean, I'm not saying you're implying it, but it's like, yes, you can be crunched and still make a good game, but there are some games that were crunched and suffered because of it and didn't.
But it's usually because of something else extra with it, like mismanagement or something, right?
Yeah, of course. But like for example, Sonic Frontiers, if they didn't get the extra year or extra 2 years or whatever, the game Sonic would be dead. 3D Sonic would be dead. So like sometimes you do need the time. It's not always like I said, I firmly believe Sonic 06 gave him another year. Different game. Shadow the Hedgehog, different game. Even if they get Heroes, that time, different game.
But even to get that time, they're still crunching. Like right now with GTA 6, for as long as it took to make, last year, they said they was in the crunch phase last year. Game's coming out this year. Late this year. But they entered the crunch phase last year. So even though they had a year of development, they're still in that crunch phase of getting stuff out. Now, we don't know how bad it was or what they had to do. But these guys, it's not like they get like, oh, here's a breather week, we're good. It's just that now they got more time to rush the game out, right? To get to fix the stuff, to get out of a state that's unplayable. And so it is about, usually it's mismanagement from the developer or mismanagement from like the higher up or something like that, that causes those problems that come out in a game. Not really like rushing. And I'm not saying people should be rushed, right? But you only get those opportunities like Zelda when you can have somebody else put out a game for you in these, like right now what Sonic is doing, where other people are putting out games while they work on Frontiers 2. So they can spend like 6 years working on Frontiers 2. But back then, you didn't really have that on the main console side. Like, it really was Sonic Adventure 2, a collection that came out, the handheld games. On the consoles, the collection, the Mega Collection, the handheld games, the Sonic Adventure DX, and then Sonic Heroes came out. And then after that, it was like game after game.
Right, and Mario, they did the opposite. One game per console, or two on the Wii, or
and a ton of spin-off by other developers.
Yeah, so they just, I think just with Sonic specifically, I feel like they just, I'm glad, like seeing Crossworlds in the state that we did, like, oh, they had some little funny haha bugs, like, oh, that's so funny. That's, to me, this is like a dream come true, just because that game, they clearly let them do their thing. Like, I think, and like these Sonic fools are very passionate, and Unleashed is so like crazy to me because I don't know the timeline on how long it took them to make that game, whatever.
Like
but
3
like
years.
Like I feel like that's the most polished. Oh, well, it's hard to say. I mean, because the thing is, all those issues with like frame rate stuff like that, it's not like these fools who like ported the game. It's not like they really fixed anything. It's just they just put it on a more powerful console.
Yeah, well, that was the problem. The problem was the console, the system. That's why in Generations they toned down. Well, they didn't really tone down the graphics because the graphics technically are better in Generations. It's just that it's really a lighting thing. Really, that's all it was. The lighting in Unleashed was a lot more advanced. And in Sonic's model, we found out behind it turns out that Sonic's model in Unleashed is causing most of the lag. All the polygons in his model, apparently. That's what I hear. But it's always been a system thing. That's why Microsoft, because what they did, they didn't get Sega to go and like rework the game. Microsoft has a tool they can use to go and upscale games and then and also increase the frame rate of old games on the series consoles. That you basically what you can do on PC, but you can't. It does it automatically for you on certain games that can do it on PC, but Unleashed never got it on PC, so we never got to see that. So that's the only reason why it had those issues in the game. Now they could have toned the game down a bit. That would have been that was the only other option, was tone the game down a bit. But do you want that, or do you want to lag a little bit and add it back and get the game you got? Like, that's the question you got to ask.
Yeah.
But I still say that's problems. They spent like 3 years. That game started working in 2005. That's why I don't want to go too deep. We're already too long. Right. Like, yeah, that's why I kind of like.
I need to know the history of. I know the history of so many Sonic games, specifically like the Sonic games that struggled. I would love to know the history of Unleashed. That's what I need to see. I see there's so many videos who like there's that dude makes like the death of a game, or like what he has his what happened series, like just going over why the game failed. But I want to see how the game come out this way, especially in that era of Sonic. How did they even do that mess? So that's be very interesting.
The thing was they made that because they were trying to find ways to extend the gameplay out, because daytime stages were going to be too short of a game, and they came up with that day and night system. And again, this is before, a lot of this stuff was being made beforehand. And keep in mind, like, the thing is, we look at this stuff as like a failure. It's only a failure in the sense that it was a failure from a critical perspective. Yeah, but sales wise, this is why I'm going to bring up to the point with Sonic 06. Like, as much as people say Sonic 06 ruined the franchise, all I got to say is this: hey, Crash Bandicoot didn't get a new game after 2008 for a long time. Spyro didn't get a game out 2008 after a long time, unless you're counting its cameo in Skylanders. Jack and Daxter hasn't gotten the game since 2009. Sly Cooper got one game, ended on a cliffhanger, and hasn't gotten the game since 2013. Right? Sonic kept getting games after that because they kept selling. Yeah. Even though 6 is a platinum hits and the greatest hits on the consoles. So yeah, reception wise, you want to fix that, but the sales of the games were going strong, and they were really trying to. And the Wii games, when you understand how they viewed the Wii, like the Wii games were spinoffs.
It was just side.
Those were spinoffs. Side games. But Unleashed was like the main flagship title, and they just made that. They actually were toning things down, like they said in Colors with Unleashed, right? That's why I didn't Knuckle. They were going to put Shadow in the game. They said no, we got to tone things down. We got to limit the characters in the game. Knuckles going to be in the game. They tone things down, right? They were doing things in that game already. We're preparing for what Colors did, right? By toning things down. They focused in on Sonic. They only had 2 gameplay styles. They focused on those gameplay styles. They fleshed them out a lot. Now, some people didn't like the Warhog, but you can't deny they did flesh it out. You know, whether you liked it or not, right? And so that's why I think people who love the game because at the end of the day, you know, you liking the game. I think some Sonic games just come down to like, do you like this gameplay style? And that's what it's going to be. If you don't, that's fine, but you just don't like the game because of that. But when it comes to polish, like, you can't deny the polish of the game with some of these games. Like, Unleashed is just one game. I'm like, I don't take arguments on. It's like, it is a very polished game.
It's one of the. I never played the game. It's one of the best Sonic games. It's just by default. Like, not just the polish, but the content as well. The content,
and people gotta understand
just the depth of the game. Like, you can't have a very heavy game like that, and it's like like the flaws are like, you know. Of course, I agree with, like, I mean, Alex, I ain't never played the game, so who knows how bad the Sun and Moon Metal stuff really is. But like, a lot of the stuff is like, when you think about the mess that so many Sonic games have to deal with, like, Sonic at least starts off at a different playing field in the conversation than other games, just on jank alone. Like, you have to. There's so many hurdles you have to overcome before you can even come to Unleashed level to even now begin the discussion.
Right.
Like, I don't even play
Unleashed. The only problem
with
the Sun and Moon Metal is it's at last level in Adabat. That's like where it's not, even as someone who's experienced in the game, that, like, I always end up not having enough, and that gets on my nerves with it. Not having enough Sun Metals. That is annoying, but I will take having to find those in levels than having to do stupid missions where I'm running through rings and then loading in screens, or playing a good stage, but then having to play that stage again with automatic controls where they want me to do precise jumps with automatic controls and walk backwards and talk about secret rings. I'll take that over stupid stuff like that, right? Like, that's in hindsight, it's like a lot
tedious
better.
tedium versus bad ideas.
I think the only problem with Unleashed and this is more so on the Warhawk side, is because of what the upgrade system is, and because of like the length of the game. The upgrade system, you just won't be able to upgrade a lot of stuff because it's too loose of an upgrade system to where you won't be able to upgrade a lot of stuff. And so, like, a lot of people, if you're not upgrading that combat skill, you're gonna be stuck with the same movesets. A lot of people see it as shallow. If you go play something which is, I think, is imitating more God of War than like DMC, because God of War plays a lot differently than DMC. God of War, like, you are constantly getting abilities in your face. You get most of the abilities before the end of the game, while also having other things that give you health upgrades. The problem with Unleash is that experience is universally shared throughout the daytime Sonic and the nighttime Sonic, and so because of that, right, it's your choice on what you want to improve on. And so if you don't improve that combat,
people have varying experiences.
Right. Combat is the only one that gives you more abilities. So if you don't improve the combat skill on the Warhawk, right, or grind out the stages, get more experience from it, you're not going to see all the moves in the game. And I think that's a flaw. I think it should have been like God of War, where that all you really upgrade is combat, so you can get more moves through that, and have health upgrades and all the other stuff be given to you by other means in games, like you have like orbs or something, instead of making you spend all that money on all the XP on between both Sonics. Like, that was the biggest flaw to me.
Or even like I don't know how many people play this game, Teen Titans on the GameCube.
Oh, I got that.
I don't know if you're, bro, that game was so far, and you know the way they did combat is like you just automatically leveled up and you would automatically just get a new combo. Like you would just consistently be like, it's not even an XP thing or nothing. Like if they were to just, you could have the upgrade system, but just have that combat part, like just take that out and just you automatically get more stuff. And then you can choose to put stuff in there. You can choose to put your XP in the health or whatever, just because like that's too essential to screw around with. And like obviously, if you keep combat there so important, then you know you're gonna be putting so much of it in there. Like that, I think that's something that, you know, like I said, I ain't played the game, so we gonna find out this week.
I just think because of the way that system is, you're not really forcing scenarios to use that combat.
Yeah,
well, you're not
just the
either. You kind of are. By the time you don't have it. You just like, oh.
But okay, don't spoil me.
Bro. I'm not gonna say that. You know.
But bro, you're not gonna play you're not gonna play it, the PC.
No, I am. I'm playing.
Are you gonna play it on
the deck? Yeah, I'm playing on the deck. Okay. I want it to go. Like I want it. The fact I can play it on the go, that's awesome, right? I can play it on the go, but like, you know, I'm fine with it. Like on PC.
And honestly, if it runs that well on Steam Deck, then because I've seen the footage on Steam Deck, the mug is running perfectly. So I mean, that mug can be switched to, might even run on a Switch. I'm saying obviously they would never.
It's going to. It's a 360 game. It's going to. It just might not run at the high resolution everybody wants it to, but yeah, it'll run. But like, yeah, no, I'm appreciative of the mod community. I don't want to make that. I want to make that clear. That I'm appreciative. Like, this is a thing that's a long time coming. Should have a long time ago.
Hey, y'all just need to understand that with Jayblast, he's also known as the Sega kid. The fool loves everything Sega, so he don't need. Well, the thing I love about Jayblast is this fool appreciates games so much that like he like I feel like I said, I don't know much about game devs or whatever, but I feel like the way that you look at games is like so many things that like we might look at on a surface level, like, oh, this is frustrating, like, oh, this is annoying, like, oh, this is a little janky, or this is whatever. Like you see the bigger picture. And I think like with so many games you talk about, or so many games you played, like I feel like you see the bigger picture that like a lot of the stuff is just minuscule. And so like I feel like that's why you have such a passion, just such a the understanding of games you have like right now is just because of that. Like you're not held back by the caveman. Oh, the song keeps playing over and over again. Like now you see like you see the picture.
Well, it's that, and I'm old school, you know, game. I grew up with a lot of that stuff, and we just, you know, back then it's trial and error, bro. Like that's how I got into like, you know, Mega Man and stuff. That stuff was like trial and error, man. You died, you got back up, and you did what you had to do. That's just life too. But also, I'm a you know, man, I went to school for computer science, so you know, I really don't care about none of that programming stuff outside of game development, and that was the main reason. So pretty much what I do with that channel is, you know, and I've had game developers like message me on the channel like saying, hey, you help me with my designing my game and stuff like that. And I'm actually working on stuff towards that too. I'm doing both at the same time, but you know, you gotta really look at design, and once you get behind, like, once you get behind the curtain, you start to appreciate stuff, even the stuff you don't like. Like if I made a video on Forces, I wouldn't just be dogging on the whole game the entire time. Like, I would actually be talking about some of the other stuff it did right, things like that. Once you get behind that, you start to you stop. I guess how I can describe it. You stop trying to find flaws. You let the flaws hit you. You start, because I feel like there's a phase. It's a phase when you're young. You just play a game, right? You're just having fun. Then there's a phase, especially when you get into YouTube. You want to be critical about stuff, so you try to look
the
for
cynical
stuff.
era,
right? Yeah, you try to look for stuff, right? And then I'm in this phase now where it's like I don't want to look for stuff. I just want to play the game, and if something really irritates me, I'll talk about it. But if it doesn't irritate me like that, like, for the most part, if it happens other game, I don't care. Like yeah.
Well, y'all make sure to follow JayblastNetwork. Follow his channel. Make sure you sub to BeastMD, and I'll see you all on the next one.